Hello, everybody. This is Doug Green. I'm the publisher of Telecom Reseller. And today we're going to be doing a podcast, The Evolution of Enterprise Class Call Recording Technology. And we have with us again Ron Romanchik, who's the Chief Strategy Officer at CallCabinet. Ron, thank you for joining me today.
Thanks, Doug. Pleasure to join you.
Well, I'm really excited that we're going to be able to talk about this topic, very timely. So let's start off with, can you give us an overview of compliance call recording and where it all started? What does that mean?
Sure. Well, without going into too much history, I'll go back a little bit. So, digital call recording started right around the turn of the century, which sounds kind of bit archaic, but right around the late 90s and early 2000s as on-premise systems. As call recording became more of a general business initiative, the focus was around specific markets and specific solutions at the time, things like contact centers, dispute resolution, financial transactions, as well as air traffic control, government, and public safety. So it was really geared around resolving certain specific items, as well as being able to, you know, be able to go back and look at different conversations that were taking place to be able to track events that may have occurred. As technology evolved, call recording became more of a data source rather than an obligation to track interactions. So contact centers were the first to utilize call recording for quality assurance and assess how their agents perform with customers. However, it was limited as premise-based systems only allowed for small sampling of calls rather than the complete experience. So the reason being is that most of those premise-based systems were all configured based on maximum throughput. So in the early days, contact centers, as an example, if they had 1,000 agents, they may only be sampling maybe 20% or roughly 200 agents across that. So they're getting a very small snippet of that data. It was a technology limitation. And as cloud evolved, though, and cloud based systems continue to grow, those limitations went away. And the reason why they went away is because you have now the ability in a SaaS model to be able to expand beyond those capabilities, right? You're able to um, have a per seat model, which allowed the customers themselves to be able to now sample all 1,000 agents as opposed to 200 agents and get a more a better picture of what's going on in the contact center. The other thing that has happened, with cloud systems and cloud-based systems, is that limitations and new technologies were introduced, or I was going to say those limitations disappeared, and new technologies such as screen capture, video calls, omni-channel environments, and voice analysis became more prevalent in daily operations across conversations in typical contact center. So no longer does the technology limit the amount of data that can be consumed, along with the cost dropping in these technologies in the SaaS world. So it made it more cost effective to capture and analyze all customer experiences across the enterprise itself.
So, data privacy is a big requirement in call recording. So, can you give us some insight about that?
Yeah, data privacy is huge right now. And,
Right.
everybody's talking about what's happening in the data world and being able to certify themselves in cybersecurity. So data privacy and security is a critical driver for call recording. Not No longer are companies recording for convenience purposes, but rather as a method to keep customer conversations safe, secure, and easily accessible. When you call into contact centers or you call into a company, it may say this conversation may be recorded for compliance purposes. And the reason being is they want to be able to protect the customer's data. Legislation such as HIPAA require that all patient data is protected from being disclosed to unauthorized individuals. Whether it is a stored recording, a screen captured from a healthcare or insurance worker's desk, or written information passed through email or fax. Violations are strict, and the organization could be fined anywhere from $100 to $50,000 per incident. That's huge. In the financial world, just as recently as August 8th, there was an article that was published stating that the SEC and the CFTC issued fines of $549 million against 6 financial firms over the failure to maintain and preserve communications from their employees' personal devices. The firm's employees communicated business matters over text, messaging applications, and voice conversations on their personal devices where firms failed to maintain and preserve the data in accordance with compliance laws. Before this, the SEC, up to that point, had issued fines of up to $1.1 billion between today and 2021. So, needless to say, not by not recording and storing data securely, financial institutions put themselves in jeopardy with this. So, the key to protecting data is having a proper cybersecurity program, such as ISO 27001 or 27002 or 018, etc. That sets specific standards in product development, encryption methods and standards, as well as network security and consistent vulnerability testing. Companies like CallCabinet have implemented those standards internally that far exceed the necessary requirements to ensure our customers' data is protected, not only for compliance reasons, but also from cyber attacks. As an example, CallCabinet, in addition to Microsoft's blob storage encryption, which we utilize, also encrypts each individual call with an AES 256-bit encryption with a rotating methodology. That means if a hacker were to access our storage, they would need to figure out also not only the blob storage piece of it, but also each and every individual call would have to be, they'd have to figure out the encryption around that, making it almost impossible to penetrate, which is why it never happened in the CallCabinet world.
So, Ron, what are the current industry drivers and also latest innovations?
So, latest innovations again, cloud recording has opened up businesses to do more at a fraction of the cost as earlier premise-based systems. So, its SaaS model now allows the customer to cost effectively listen to and protect conversations on customer touch points across many departments. Departments such as HR, sales, obviously, customer support, obviously, tech support, billing, uh, wide range of different areas which definitely have the customer touch points. With CallCabinet's cloud technology, where our service is built into the fabric of Microsoft Azure, we can provide our customers with unlimited scalability across multiple communication platforms as well, such as collaboration platforms, hosted PBXs, and even premise-based PBX platforms, all providing a single user interface. So now we can, if the environment is a mixed environment, which we're starting to see more and more of as people migrate from the premise to the cloud, that same user experience is handled across all platforms itself. Also, should this customer have the need to scale up or scale down in size, let's say by seasonal demand, a SaaS platform such as ours provides that capability without having to pay for scale during down periods. The key to migrating to cloud technology is not losing customer data. Typically, if a customer is migrating to the premise-based from a premise-based recording system, they are beholden to their recording vendor to keep that data active until it ages out or the customer doesn't need the data anymore. The reason is that most premise-based systems have their own proprietary file format that recordings are stored in, thus mandating that the existing system needs to be used. That's an additional expense on the part of the customer to just store and play back the data should it ever be necessary. We eliminate that expense by migrating that data and normalizing it, making it usable data for the customer while storing it in our cloud. Now the customer owns the data, not the recording vendor. So with cloud technology, we have just saved the customer from having to pay for a system they no longer use and have taken the old data and made it usable for that particular customer. As I mentioned earlier, call recording has become a method of capturing customer data. What's difficult is to ingest what a person says, as well as the intonation of how they said it, into a usable format where the data is accurately depicted and can be analyzed to determine business insights. CallCabinet's voice analytics technology can extract business insights, provide analysis across many communication points while keeping the customer's data safe and secure in our network. Our analytics can automatically evaluate contact center agents, manage customer and employee experience, and offer a fixed low-cost SaaS solution.
So, as we conclude our podcast today, could you give us an overview? What does the future of compliance call recording look like?
Sure. Thanks, Doug. The future is here. The evolution of AI, along with communication analysis and compliance, is driving a need for all businesses, large and small, to listen how their employees are communicating with the outside world. Both Microsoft and Cisco have
Hmm.
announced secure collaboration and the use of AI to protect business and personal information while using platforms such as Teams and WebEx. You've heard the announcements. Cisco made that announcement last week regarding WebEx, and Microsoft had also made the announcement a few weeks prior to that. We are on the forefront of this by collaborating with both Microsoft and Cisco to offer an AI-driven solution that can monitor conversations and help protect against data loss and driving workflows from our voice analytics to help drive DLP systems. Data loss protection is a huge issue right now. And there is proprietary information that can possibly be leaked through conversations with customers, with other individuals, and even possibly competitors. And the goal is to be able to make sure all that data is doesn't leak out to the public when it shouldn't leak out to the public, right? So AI technologies such as Microsoft Copilot and Azure OpenAI are technologies that access data and drive workflows. They are driven by text-based data where companies like CallCabinet can take advantage of our voice analytics capability to drive those technologies. What we do is we turn spoken voice into that text along with the scoring of intonation through emotion and sentiment to be able to take that data, push it towards Microsoft Copilot, push it towards Azure OpenAI, and be able to manage those conversations accordingly. We can also push that data out to DLP systems where those systems can monitor those particular conversations and provide alerts if there's essential DLP leakage somewhere along the way. The use cases are really unlimited. However, with the expansion of financial regulations, we see security being at the top of the list in driving compliance standards and applying regulations against conversations.
So, Ron, I really want to thank you for joining me today. This has been a very interesting, eye-opening, and ear-opening conversation. A good start, I think, for people to do maybe a deeper dive into some of these matters. Where can we learn more? Where can we learn more about Call Cabinet and some of the things we talked about today?
You can visit us at callcabinet.com. A lot of our data is listed there. If you want to find out more and get deeper into the conversations, we have some white papers online, as well as you feel free to contact us. and we'll be able to sit down and have those conversations with you. Again, it's www.callcabinet.com.
And also, I want to recommend to all of our readers and listeners to check out the excellent Call Cabinet, ongoing Call Cabinet blog that appears on TR and also on your pages as well. Don't miss it. They're really interesting articles. I am looking forward to our next podcast, but for now, Ron, thank you very much for your time today.
Thanks a lot, Doug. I appreciate it.